Hello, this is the trade site Forex market preview and international economic data roadmap for the week beginning Sunday, November 6th, 2016 and ending Friday the 11th. Welcome to finally the end of the U.S. election cycle as we vote on Tuesday. Thankfully, get this out of the way once and for all. Here's a look at the dollar index daily chart. Nice cup formation that broke out and now has retreated a bit over the last week. We actually got some movement in the market, and the dollar has settled back into about the midpoint of the last 9 months. Euro dollar chart, the inverse of that as usual, although it never made new lows when the dollar made new highs, which is interesting. Pound obviously recovering a bit with the dollar selling off on stories that perhaps Brexit won't go through because different branches of government need to approve it, and maybe one of them won't. Aussie dollar, here's a handle formation, cup and handle, since it got, look at the 13s on this one. Back in April, nailed the high, another one in August, going to pull back from that. So you got a cup and handle that's formed off of those so far. Pound yen drifting back up slightly, not as much as the pound dollar, and the euro yen just sitting basically flat. Let's look at the intra-week action. So this will be 30-minute candles on the euro dollar, as we always look at. And you can see high to low for the week was about 200 pips, which is a little bit better than we've been seeing, although Wednesday through Friday was dead flat. Most of the move was on Tuesday. Pound dollar high to low for the week was 400 pips, which is a big improvement, and we made some money there this week. So at least something positive coming out of the Forex market. If we were to have another week like this, I would probably go back to full size. Finally, we've been half size for over 2 months now, coming out of the summer doldrums where we usually go half size, and it's just not improved enough to change that reality at this point. So we'll be looking for that at some point down the road. But there was movement all week long on the pound dollar. All right, let's take a look at the economic data. I think it's a full week, but keep in mind, obviously, the election is going to be the key story on Tuesday. So, daylight savings time shift here in the U.S. just occurred on Saturday going into Sunday, also in Canada. All right, Australia's got the AIG Construction Index Sunday night, monetary policy meeting minutes out of Japan. Going into Monday, German factory orders, foreign currency reserves, CPI out of Switzerland, Halifax HPI, that's the housing price index out of the UK, retail PMI in Europe, Centex investor confidence in Europe, retail sales, the Eurogroup meetings, US labor market conditions, consumer credit, UK's got the BRC retail sales monitor, Australia's got the NAB business confidence number, China's trade balance comes out at some point on Monday, along with their US denominated trade balance. Got the 10-year bond auction in Japan. Going into Tuesday, which is election day here in the US, leading indicators out of Japan, unemployment rate out of Switzerland, German industrial production and trade balance, French trade balance, UK's manufacturing production and industrial production, U.S. small business index, Canada's housing starts and building permits, U.S. jobs, JOLTS jobs openings, congressional elections obviously as well. All that'll end Tuesday night. We could be up late. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I think market looking at the race maybe tightening, whereas before it looked like an easy win for Clinton. I'm not sure that it's changed that much yet, but I think we'll see what happens. Current account out of Japan, bank lending, excuse me, out of Japan, China, CPI and PPI. Going into Wednesday, when we'll hopefully know the winner of the presidential election. Let's hope it doesn't come down to anything worse than that. Goods trade balance out of the UK, EU economic forecasts, wholesale inventories out of the US, crude oil inventories, that's the weekly number, our 10-year bond auctions. We've got a rate announcement out of New Zealand that night. Bank of Japan summary of opinions, core machinery orders and M2 money stock, Australia's inflation expectations, and home loans. 30-year bond auction out of Japan. Going into Thursday, French industrial production and non-farm payrolls. Money supply out of China and new loans out of China comes out just somewhere this week, evidently. Just gives a random date. Interesting. Italian industrial production out of Europe, NHPI out of Canada, unemployment claims out of the U.S., natty gas out of the U.S., 30-year bond auction, the federal budget balance here in the U.S. at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, business manufacturing index out of New Zealand, FPI out of New Zealand. Japan's got their PPI number. We've got France on a bank holiday on Friday, German final CPI and WPI, construction output out of the UK. US has got a bank holiday, so we would have no Forex calls for Veterans Day on Thursday going into Friday. And the stock market will be open, but it'll be slow. And that's about it. So how does the week look? Well, unless there's some surprises out of the election, I think it's just going to be a little bit of hurry up and wait until we get through it, at least. If there's some surprises, obviously we could have some issues. Obviously, that you'd expect a Trump win would be bad for the dollar. and get some movement in that direction if we go that way. And then we've got Friday as a holiday, so no calls Thursday night. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading week.